Hello everyone, this is Ayush Chatterjee, Medical College, Kolkata. Today I am going to demonstrate about the brainstem disorders. So what is brainstem? This I have given two pictures. The first one is of the coronal section of brain and the second one of a tree. If I isolate this part from the brain, then this looks exactly like the tree. Now these two parts, the images, are exactly analogous. So if this is the tree stem or the tree trunk, then this is the brain stem. The brain stem consists of the midbrain, the pons and the medulla oblongata. To understand the effects of disorders in different parts of brainstem, we should familiarize with the structures present here which may get affected. Corticospinal tract, the cranial nerve or the nuclei, the medial lemniscus, other important nuclei such as the red nucleus or pretectal nucleus, reticular formation, the cerebellar peduncles. Apart from this, there may be the superior and inferior colliculi. The corticospinal tracts and the medial lemniscus, their fibers cross over in the brainstem. So if there is any effect on one side, the symptoms will be seen in the opposite side of the body. For cranial nerve or the nuclei, they supply structures on same side, so any damage to them will result in ipsilateral symptoms. For cranial nerve or the nuclei, this is a schematic diagram showing the brainstem with its different parts, the midbrain, the pons and the medulla oblongata. These are the illustration of some of the nuclei present in the brainstem. Easy way to remember them is that the midbrain consists of mainly the nuclei of 3rd and 4th nerve, the pons of 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th nerve, and the medulla oblongata of 9th, 10th, 11th and the 12th nerve. Not going into the detail of this structure, but it helps to localize the disorders of the brainstem. For example, if we are talking about disorders of say the pons, and we will isolate only this part and forget about the rest and think about only the structures which are present in this region, that is the 7th nerve nuclei, the 6th nerve nuclei, 5th nerve nuclei, superior salivatory nucleus, the main sensory nucleus, like this. So now moving on to the examples of the disorders of the brainstem. First, the medulla oblongata, which is associated with mainly two syndromes, the Dejerine syndrome and the Wallenberg syndrome. Now, if this region of the brainstem or the medulla specifically is affected, then it will result in the Dejerine syndrome. If this region is affected, it will result in the Wallenberg syndrome. A trick to remembering the effects of this syndrome is to first remember the structures which are affected, and secondly the symptoms for each individual structures. And the way to remember the structures affected is using the mnemonics. So directly going to the first, Dejerine syndrome or the medial medullary syndrome, the structures affected here are the hypoglossal nucleus, the pyramid and the medial lemniscus. The D stands for Dejerine, M medial, M medullary, M medial lemniscus, P pyramid and H hypoglossal nerve. Now the effects: if the medial lemniscus is affected, there will be contralateral loss of proprioception because it carries the sensation of equilibrium and position from the opposite side of the body. If the pyramid is affected, there will be contralateral hemiplegia. If the hypoglossal nerve is affected, there will be paralysis of muscles of tongue supplied by the hypoglossal nerve. Now moving on to the Wallenberg syndrome, the structures affected here are the lateral spinothalamic tract, the nucleus ambiguus, the spinal tract of trigeminal nerve, the inferior cerebellar peduncle, the vestibular nuclei and the sympathetic fibers passing to this region. The L stands for lateral, M for medullary, W Wallenberg, L lateral spinothalamic tract and nucleus ambiguus, S spinal tract of trigeminal nerve, I inferior cerebellar peduncle, V vestibular nuclei and S sympathetic fibers. Now the effects: if the lateral spinothalamic tract is affected, there will be contralateral loss of temperature and pain sensation, as it carries the sensation of temperature and pain from opposite side of the body. If if nucleus ambiguous is affected, there will be paralysis of muscles of the pharynx and tongue supplied by fibers from this nucleus. If the spinal tract of trigeminal nerve is affected, there will be ipsilateral loss of temperature and pain sensation because it carries the sensation of temperature and pain from the same side of the face. The inferior cerebellar peduncle is affected, there will be ataxia as it is concerned with balance and movements, and the vestibular nuclei is affected, there will be giddiness due to loss of balance. The sympathetic fibers are affected, there will be Horner syndrome, which is characterized by ptosis, meiosis, synophthalmos and hydrosis and loss of ciliospinal reflex. Now moving on to the pons. Pons, there will be three main disorders: cerebellopontine angle tumor, Millard-Gubler syndrome and pontine hemorrhage. If this region of the pons is affected, there will be Millard-Gubler syndrome, and if this region is affected, there will be the cerebellopontine angle tumor. Starting with the cerebellopontine angle tumor, the structures affected here are the facial nerve nucleus, the nucleus of fifth nerve and the spinal tract, the vestibulocochlear nerve and the floculi. C for cerebellopontine, F for facial nerve, N for nucleus of fifth nerve and the spinal tract, V for vestibulocochlear nerve and F for floculi. So the effects of cerebellopontine angle tumor are: if the facial nerve is affected, there will be ipsilateral paralysis of facial muscles, hyperacusis and loss of taste sensation from anterior 2/3 of tongue. If the nucleus of the fifth nerve is affected, there will be loss of the corneal reflex because the maxillary division of the trigeminal nerve serves as the afferent pathway for the corneal reflex. If the vestibulocochlear nerve is damaged, there will be deafness pertaining to its cochlear part and vertigo pertaining to its vestibular part. If the floculi is damaged, there will be ataxia. Now moving on to Millard-Gubler syndrome, the structures affected here are the abducent nucleus, the pyramids and again the facial nerve. So M for Millard, G for Gubler, A for abducent, P for pyramid, F for facial nerve. The effects are: the abducent nerve is damaged, there will be loss of lateral abduction of the eyeball. This is because the abducent nerve supplies lateral rectus muscle, which is responsible for abduction of eyeball, or just instead of lateral, loss of abduction of eyeball. If the pyramids are affected, there will be contralateral hemiplegia, and if facial nerve is affected, there will be ipsilateral facial paralysis. Now in pontine hemorrhage, the pons is affected as a whole, so any effects will be observed bilaterally on both sides of the body. So the structures affected here are F for facial nerve, C for corticospinal fibers, R for reticular formation, H for hypothalamic fibers, and S for the sympathetic ocular fibers. Now effects which are seen here, the facial nerve is affected, there will be ipsilateral facial paralysis. If the corticospinal tracts it will not be ipsilateral, it will be bilateral because the pons as a whole is affected. If the corticospinals are affected, there will be bilateral limb paralysis. Reticular formation is affected, there will be deep coma as the consciousness will be lost. If the reticular formation is affected, there will be deep coma. If the hypothalamic fibers are affected, there will be hyperpyrexia. And lastly, if sympathetic ocular fibers are affected, there will be pinpoint pupil. Now moving on to the midbrain. Midbrain is associated with Weber syndrome, Benedict syndrome, Perinaut syndrome, and Argyll-Robertson pupil. If this region is affected, there will be Weber syndrome. If this region is affected, there will be Benedict syndrome. If only the superior colliculus is affected, there will be Perinaut syndrome. And if the pretectal nucleus is damaged, there will be Argyll-Robertson pupil. Moving to Weber syndrome, the structures affected here are oculomotor nerve and corticospinal fibers. W for Weber, C for corticospinal fibers, O for oculomotor. So the effects will be corticospinal tracts are affected, there will be contralateral hemiplegia. The oculomotor nerve is damaged, then the pupil will point downwards and laterally. Moving on to Benedict syndrome, the structures affected here are the superior cerebellar peduncle, the red nucleus, the oculomotor nerve, and the medial lemniscus. So B for Benedict, S for superior cerebellar peduncle, R for red nucleus, O for oculomotor nerve, and M for medial lemniscus. So the effects here are the superior cerebellar peduncle and red nucleus are affected, there will be tremors and twitching on opposite side of the body. Oculomotor nerve is damaged, the pupil will again point downwards and laterally. This is affected, there will be contralateral loss of proprioception. Raynaud syndrome, here only the superior colliculus is affected, so the effect will be weakness of upward gaze, vertical nystagmus, and vertical nystagmus. Now moving on to the Argyll-Robertson pupil. Here only the pretectal nuclei is damaged, so there will be loss of light reflex, as the pretectal nuclei is involved in the light reflex pathway. So these were some of the disorders of brainstem and ways of remembering them. I hope this video was of help. Thank you. Please like, share and subscribe.